Good morning. Good morning. It's 2:42 a.m. I'm on my way to the gym right now. I had what I normally do, get ready in the morning. Then I got down and I prayed. And when I say I got down, I mean I got on my knees and I prayed. And I was showing some reverence and some respect for my Creator. And time to time this happens. I don't know what to say. I don't have anything to ask for. And sometimes when you don't have anything to ask for, you kind of sit there like, what do I talk to God about? And I think that that's a perfect opportunity to pray for somebody else, to give thanks for what you have. It doesn't always have to be about our communication with our creators because, we need something. Or our communication with our Creator because something's wrong. I remember there was 2 occasions where I had to borrow money from a particular individual. I never went outside of that individual because we have a different kind of relationship. And both times it was significant amounts of money. And I was mindful of the relationship that before I received the money, there was communication. During the exchange of the money, there was communication. After, there was communication. And then on repayment, there was communication. And the reason why I was mindful of communicating at different levels, whether it be business or personal, was because I did not want that other person to feel like our relationship was superficial and built around finances. But that it was real, it was genuine, and that I am really thankful. And the only way I can do that, periodically, because it's an older person, and it's somebody I've known forever, and I send off some text messages with some photos of the family and how everybody's doing. And mind you, what happens when most people get money out of you, they go silent. Somebody borrowed 30. I still ain't seen this $30. Somebody borrowed $30 or $20, something silly. I probably put more than that in my gas tank. They done went AWOL. They done changed their Facebook profile. They just done went off the deep end. I didn't even message them and been like, yo, that's forgiven. I'm over that. How you doing? But I was mindful of the relationship. And I guess that has something to do with my integrity. So what I'm saying is something that requires a high level of integrity in order to sustain this way of being. And that integrity is very much instrumental in how I talk with God. And just because we're not asking for something, and just because we're not requiring anything of God, doesn't mean that we can't have a conversation. What it means is now it leaves room to have a conversation about something else. Or to pray over someone else. But at the end of the day, it's an opportunity to not just say, what can you do for me? And when I was praying, it had dawned on me, because all prayer is simply a communication. It's just, you're communicating. I think during prayer, you're talking to God, and during meditation, God is talking back to you. And you're building a rapport of trust. Because so many reasons on why I was able to come out of the darkness that I sometimes found myself in was trust. Was I needed an answer to something. God, download the answer in me, hit me with it real quick, and I'd trust where it came from, and I would move into it. And I remember thinking, while giving prayer and prayers and thanks, was that there was things that had came up that I didn't know how I was going to get out of, and I stayed in faith. I didn't complain. I wasn't, I'm not going to say I wasn't worried. To a degree, I was. But the more and more I was able to show that I wasn't worried, or I really wasn't worried, or I really trusted that things would turn around, the more and more stuff started getting downloaded. And that's what I think people are trying to figure out. Like, what does my faith get me? Is something miraculous going to happen? What does my faith give me? No, nothing. I don't think anything miraculous is going to give you. I think your faith allows you to be obedient and to hear and do things that you ordinarily would have just shook off and said, that's for him, that's not for me. But what happens when you're in moments of faith and you're asking for something to happen, you get these downloads. You might be driving down the street from point A to point B, trying to figure out how things is going to work out, and you might get a download, and that download would say, hey, call such and such. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think the first time I ever heard that, but not put like that, was I was listening to an old recording from Napoleon Hill. It wasn't Think and Grow Rich. It was another book, and it was one that's not honest. Where's that book? It's not readily available. Maybe. But him talking about, he would get these premonitions, and the premonitions would say, go ask your brother for $50 so that you can get to the other side of town or to that other city, and you can make that business deal happen. So he'd go to his brother, tell his brother, I need $50. His brother would be like, well, maybe you need 100. Let me just give you 100. That way you can, get to and from safely. He says, no, I only need 50. Faith brings you into a closer relationship, which brings you into a closer bond spiritually to hear what's needing to be heard so that you can do what needs to be done. What happens when you build your relationship with God is basically, in essence, the things that you're used to hearing and doing, which more than likely led you into the problem. Now you start getting something that is more ordained towards your destiny. See, I don't believe any of my actions are intended to just be for the moment. I believe that they're destiny-related actions. in order to propel me in the direction that I'm supposed to go. Everything. I was sitting there like I'll give you an example where we do financially well, but we also have a lot of financial obligations. And I'll be like, we're gonna be financially obligated to something forever. But at what level does your income surpass the outgoing financial responsibilities? Meaning, at which point do you get to keep more of your money than paying it out to a bill? And I got a download. And the download simply said, at some point, you will catch up on everything that you have financially out there, an obligation. You will catch up. You will start making better decisions financially that will surpass your obligations. And when your finances start to surpass your obligations, you will have an abundance. And he told me how to do it. Not like sat down in front of me and told me how to do it, but gave me these downloads. And next thing I know, I started ordering these financial economic books and asking the right questions and looking at where money can be put at and how I could, turn, a quarter or, turn $1 into $1.05 and how I could compound that to grow and develop a little bit more. And when you start getting these downloads, I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you start getting these downloads, what you get is you get slow, steady increases in not only your mentality and how you see things, but you also get these slow, steady increases in your finances. And when you get slow, steady increases in your finances, and you're not intentionally taking on more debt or more financial responsibility, then you end up positioning yourself to, at some point, no longer have bills that surpass your income. And had I not been obedient, had I not listened or heard what I heard and got that download into me and been obedient to follow it and say, okay, right now I'm in a season of my income going towards my financial responsibilities. But soon, if I don't take on any more debt, which that's possible, you don't have to take on more debt. You could be smart. Then soon, my financial responsibilities will be smaller than my income. And when my income becomes bigger than my financial responsibilities, it gives me more disposable income to become discretionary income, meaning what I'm going to do with it. How am I going to turn my dollar into $1.50? So during prayer, you open up the doors for conversation that don't always have to involve, well, I'm in need, I'm hurt, I need a prayer, I need something, I need this. Sometimes, and I'm a victim of that too, you could just be praying and you can decide, well, I'm just going to pray for somebody else. Or I'm going to take this time to be thankful. Because I remember the situation where finances was looking, everything was looking crazy. It was just hectic. And I just would not give up on what I believed. And every time I would press down harder and say that I refuse to give in to how I feel, but I choose to live by faith, download. I would get a download like boom, and I'd be like, I know what to do. And when that happens, you start seeing the true goodness of God playing out in the realities and the recesses of your life at points and intervals that other times in your life you never thought you would have a way or a solution out of. You now start getting solutions and ways out of, and eventually you get to a point where you just stop making those same kind of mistakes and putting God in a position where he's got to keep bailing you out. Put it like this: if I bail you out of jail once, that's fine. But if you keep going back to jail, it's not that I won't bail you out, but at a certain point, you may sit in there a little bit longer just so that you can get a grasp of how much time you're wasting on both of our behalves, and I need some change. See, I'm like this, and I believe that this relates directly into my faith and how I believe and why I can hear certain things that have turned my life completely around. When somebody tells me, if I go up to somebody and I say, hey, I need advice on this, and I know that that person has achieved the level of success in an area where I fail, and that person tells me what I need to do, I take what they tell me to the heart. And I not only do I take it to the heart, but I treat it the same way I do if I need to administer some type of medicine. If it says take it every 4 hours, I'm pretty sure that they've tested this drug out to make sure that it becomes its most effective taken every 4 hours, not to exceed 3 times in a 24-hour period. I have to believe that the reason why they wrote those instructions and those directions that way is because at the end of the day, they really needed you to be able to get the full effect of what it was that you're trying to accomplish. And in that, and in trying to accomplish something, you're also saying, I trust what you say, and I don't want to waste your time. And that, I believe, is the main reason why I get these downloads from my Heavenly Father, is because he knows I'm not going to waste his time. You're not just wasting, you're not talking to somebody who's like a cold heart, who's just boarded up, who's not open to hear what you got to say. You're talking to somebody who's looking for his destination, who's looking for his destiny, and needs help getting there, and is not ashamed to ask for it. And you have to get to that point in your life if you want to see real change.